A little bit of everything combined to make it. Sorry, I was running late. Okay. Yay! I need this guy.
While you're here, Chris, I've got one more thing I need a hand with.
So what we might have to do is go for a drive. Because literally, we're just waiting on those moon calves. We will see in just a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting my food ready. Let's try, well, not that. That wasn't what I was thinking. This. See if it works. If it doesn't, then maybe we'll have to go for a drive. Despite the fact that Brett wanted me to stay home today and relax. Still not what I need. I want to check something. What? Okay, we've got a issue I'm going to have to fix later, but... Okay, Adversaries Day 2, I did share. In fact, it shared 3 times, so I'm going to have to delete some of them. So for EDS Awareness Month, today's day is comfort. And I think that varies from person to person. Some of the things that I found are finding the right what do you call it? Finding the right supplements. That's the word I'm after. And nutrition to help manage can be huge. Because we push our muscles and everything harder. They work harder than most people, so it's easier for us to run out of certain things. Like our body to not have as much as other people and to be low. Things that people wouldn't suspect. And it's harder to get everything that's needed. Where did my scoop go for this? There it is. All the way at the bottom. To get everything that's needed from foods. Especially where we may not absorb as much either. So you go through, you hear all these new doctors and nutrition experts and everyone else talking about how vitamins, etc., are wasted by taking supplements. You know, your supplements are just expensive pee. It's what you hear a lot of times. Well, what I found in the past few years is that's not necessarily true. Yes, there are a lot of people that probably is true with. But there are groups of people who that extra bit is needed. And so, I mean, it's kind of like, why do doctors prescribe thyroid hormones? Well, because there's people that don't produce enough of the thyroid hormones themselves, so they have to take thyroid hormones. Is that expensive pee? Well, for someone who didn't need it, definitely. For someone who needs it, no, it supports their life. And any doctor would tell you that. What about people who vitamin D? It's actually, vitamin D is one that doctors used to say no one should take, and now they're starting to realize that if you live in the USA at least, especially in the northern states, chances are you should be taking it half the year at least. To have energy. Well, what about those of us who go through it that fast? Low vitamin D is common anyway in the US. And what I've heard, what I'm starting to notice, is that it's more common with EDS. Some of the reasons for that are probably, one, we don't get out maybe as much as we would like. And so that naturally causes some issues. You know, we don't get as much sun, we don't produce as much vitamin D because of it. At the same time, if our needs are that much higher, then, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to figure some things out. If our needs are that much higher, obviously we're going to be even lower than people who maybe, or who don't have EDS. So there's that. What about those who have digestive issues, which is common in EDS? Honestly, till I went on digestive on the pancreatic enzymes, I never knew I had digestive issues. But we did realize I had some issues with my vitamin K levels. Well, vitamin K is produced in your digestive system and helps your vitamin D. And so here I was for years with really low vitamin D levels. till I started taking a vitamin D replacement. But because it's not something people watch for, it wasn't caught. And yeah. So there's that. And I think this type of thing happens a lot more than professionals are willing to admit sometimes. Luckily, I have a doctor who is amazing and is willing to do research and everything else when he doesn't know what to do. And he accepts that, hey, if it makes a difference, even if we don't know the reason why, let's do it. As long as it's not dangerous. So he hasn't had a problem with me. I had one doctor a little bit before him that got mad that I was taking vitamin D and vitamin K. And he's like, your levels are in the normal range. You need to stop taking it. And I said, okay. Are you aware my levels just a month or two ago, or not a month or two, that my levels are usually low? And this is how much I'm taking. Oh no, you're going to give yourself a heart attack by taking that much. I quit taking it, and I ended up exhausted and everything else, and went back to the same doctor's office because it was at the point I was the doctor that told me that was one of two doctors at Student Health Services, because I was attending later in life, but went back, told the other doctor what was going on and how I was feeling, and he ran the vitamin D test. And he asked why I wasn't on vitamin D, because he'd told me I needed to be on it. And I told him what the other doctor said, and he wasn't happy. He said, no, you have to stay on this to keep your levels up. If you don't keep your levels were normal. You were on vitamin D. If you hadn't been on the vitamin D supplements, as soon as you go off them, I don't care that it's the summer. So actually, when I went off, the first doctor told me to go off was the beginning of like November or something like that. And the doctor who had told me to take him regularly and that I should continue all the time and had told me the level to take was not happy, because he said, you're gonna get yourself in trouble because you don't have a high enough vitamin D level if you aren't taking them. And so that was interesting. But I think it's telling about some of the things that we go through, because we have to deal with the fact that and at the time, okay, I didn't have an EDS diagnosis. But even then, it shows the difference in opinions between doctors. The age of the doctors wasn't that different. Their skills weren't that different. but their ways of practicing medicine were way different. And so, because the one didn't want to look at history, he wanted to look at only what's going on now. And because I had a normal, despite me telling him I'd had low and extremely low, extremely low vitamin D levels for years. All he cared about was that I was on a vitamin D supplement currently and had a mid-range vitamin D. He didn't care the time of year, anything else. All that mattered was I was taking a vitamin D supplement and my level right then. And so because my level was normal, I shouldn't be taking it. It didn't matter that obviously my level wouldn't have been normal if I wasn't taking it every day. It was, you shouldn't be taking it because you're normal. And part of the reason the first doctor, and I was told I had to take vitamin D regularly, no matter what, was because I was found at one point to be extremely low. Started taking vitamin D. It took them, they expected it to be up with the level they told me to take. They expected it up within 2 months or so. And it took me 6 months to a year to get it up to barely an acceptable range. And then down the road and then after a year of taking it, I went off it because a year and a half, because they said basically, you're okay. Now we got it up, it should stay up. Went off. About 6 months after I went off, I was tested again. 6 months to a year. And I was already low again. Not as low as I'd been, but I was dropping again. Or low. We knew I was low. We didn't know if I was dropping or still or just had dropped to that point and was going to stay there. But it was too low. It was lower than they want. So then I had to go back on it again. And it took, at that point I wasn't very low, but I was still low. And they thought, okay, in a month you should be back. It took 3 to 6 months to get me back up. And I say that just to point out that each doctor has their own way and their own beliefs, but that some of them can be but that not all doctors are 100% right, and that supplements may be helpful and bring comfort for those with EDS. There are some, and there's lots of places you can go to do your own research, find out for yourself what will help you. And a big part of it is trial and error. not all supplements help all people with EDS. Even if it helps some people with EDS. And yet you may need something that others don't. Some need vitamin D, some need vitamin K, some need turmeric curcumin, some need extra vitamin C to help with all of that. Some need BCAAs, some need electrolytes. So it just varies. Now, some other comfort things. PT. If done right, PT can be a huge comfort. If not, it can make you worse off. And that's something to be aware of. I do have on the Wellness Space LLC page, I go into the difference between PTs, and I may in another video or whatever, but I'm debating on what to do. I kind of wanted to move on to the bonus task while I'm on with you guys, but I don't want to wait till tomorrow to move on to the bonus task. But obviously my phone thinks it needs to come close to dying. So driving around is going to be hard. How come it says I'm hosting someone? Doesn't anymore. That was strange. Let's go check something out. Ah, drat. The right spell, but not what I wanted. Maybe, hopefully, yes. Do I have a dawdle? My only dawdle drought. Oh, wow. I'm so glad I dropped it.
We've got these thunderstorms coming at tonight.
There. Helga, was Fluffy always this small? I recall him being scarier with bigger teeth and drool, waterfalls of drool. For the 100th time, Ron, I'm Hermione. Hi, Hermione. Wait a minute. Did you just say you remember Fluffy? Bit of a shock to me, too. One second I'm staring at the dog, the next I'm having a flashback of 3 pairs of bloodthirsty eyes sizing me up. You can't even remember your wife's name, but you have no problem recalling Hagrid's 3-headed dog? How is that possible? Don't ask me, Helen. I'm the one with amnesia, remember? Hold on, Helen's not right. Is it Heather? Harmony? No. He's getting close. I got in touch with Dorian Fungbury in Magical Law Enforcement. He's going to reach out to his underworld contacts to see if there's been another rise in illegal magical creature trading. If there has, and the Unforgivable are involved, as I suspect they are, this could be our opportunity to track them down. I can't believe I'm saying this, but catching the Unforgivable can wait. Ron's suffering. He's depending on us to help him. Our priority right now should be doing everything in our power to get his memory back. I know you feel responsible for what happened to Ron and place the burden of healing him on yourself, but we need to be realistic. The best healers in the country spent months unsuccessfully trying to restore Kitten Flavius's memories. Our methods clearly aren't working. The Unforgivable, on the other hand, must have discovered a way to reverse the spell. Recently, too. Why else would they suddenly be so interested in getting Flavius back despite willingly abandoning him? You may be right, Hermione. About me, curing Ron, the Unforgivable, all of it. I suppose if investigating black markets could lead us to the Unforgivable and a cure for Ron, then it's worth prioritizing this investigation. Ugh. A spider. Don't need my memories to know I hate them. Furry, 8-legged monsters. They'd eat us alive if they got the chance, like that bloody Aragog tried to. Did you say Aragog? You remember him, Ron? How could I forget the 8 beady eyes, fangs as big as my hand, all his creepy little spider spawn? Thankfully, that magic car rescued me. No, not just me. Us? Were you there? It's still rather fuzzy. It's Harry. Were you there, Hugh? It's still rather fuzzy. It's Harry, actually. Clearly there are still large gaps in your memory. But if your brain was permanently addled, you couldn't have remembered that night in the Forbidden Forest. There's still hope that your memories can be restored. But why could you suddenly recall Aragog of all things? Could our treatments be finally getting through to you? Is the memory loss only temporary? Did your fear of spiders trigger it, or is it something else entirely? I heard about what happened to Ron. If there's anything I can do for you or your family, please don't hesitate to ask. Don't trust Gareth either. Thank you, Gareth. Everyone's support has been instrumental in helping us get through this crisis, though I worry about Rose and Hugo. They're coping, but it's a lot for a kid to handle. I understand. When my wife Akila died, I worried a lot about how Cyrus, my daughter, would cope. I didn't know you had a daughter. You've never mentioned her before. She's grown, been out of the house for a while now. Anyway, my advice to you is to be upfront with your children. If you're honest with your own feelings, it'll encourage them to be honest with theirs. Baby them or shield them from the truth, and they'll only come to resent you. Something suspicious there. Forest 4 or higher. Okay, I don't see anyone else getting on. Let's see who we can raid. After I get done with this fight. I'm waiting because All of those are a bit harder.
I don't know how I feel about this.
We still have enough. I can wait a little bit longer. I didn't expect to come out and be able to heal people. Shoot, no one's on that way. Let's check this way. Oh, Earl of Suds is on. Let's make sure Stephen's not on. Tammy's on. Stephen's on. Let's do Stephen. Well, let's do Tammy.